United Sugar Producers Federation or UniFed President Manuel Lamata stated that the effects of El Nino this year could cause a 15% decrease in sugar yield over the following cropping season. Lamata recommended that the Sugar Regulatory Administration or SRA should complete its inventory of local production to evaluate whether more sweetener imports are still required to increase the nation's stockpiles. It has been projected that the sugar cane planting season for the following crop season will be aligned with the beginning of the El Nino phenomena. Meantime, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. expressed optimism that the Philippines would not experience another rice crisis, yet he also said that the nation will continue to allow imports to help with any future supply problems. Marcos Jr. made this statement in response to the Federation of Free Farmers' concerns about a potential rice shortage beginning in July. Meanwhile, President Marcos Jr. has reassured the public that there is an adequate supply of rice and that the administration is making every effort to keep the price under control. In other developments, as the Civil Aeronautics Board or CAB reduced the fuel surcharge for the time period, it is anticipated that the airline tickets prices will decrease on May. The CAB revealed that it had reduced the fuel surcharge from level 6 this month to level 5 in May, the lowest level this year. The price adjustment came at a time when mobility is projected to pick up as travelers go on their summer getaways to cool off. Airlines impose fuel surcharges as extra levies to assist to recoup their fuel expenses. These are not included in the base fee, which is the price the passenger really pays for the use of his or her seat. The Drug Policy Reform Initiative released a media guide on drug reporting in the Philippines, encouraging reporters to break the stigma on people who use drugs. Here is the full details. The Drug Policy Reform Initiative, or DPRI, a network of advocates advancing humane drug policy, launched a media guide on drug reporting in the country, primarily to urge journalists to break the notion of equating drug use to crime. The 24-page toolkit entitled Putting Persons First, Drug Reporting and the Media was developed by advocates in collaboration with journalists as a practical guide for reporters in covering drug-related incidents, including buy-bust operations, arrests, and searches. It lists labels such as addict, durugista, and drug abuser as stigmatizing and harmful. Instead, the toolkit invites journalists to use persons who use drugs or persons whose lives include drugs. Lead convener of DPRI, Attorney Christine Mendoza, expressed how proud she is at the newly launched media toolkit, which was written through the lens of harm reduction, an approach to drug use that shuns stigma, discrimination, and coercion. DPRI also encourages journalists to practice sensitivity in interviewing persons and communities whose lives include drugs by avoiding the exploitation of grief and trauma, adopting a compassionate tone, and not baiting arrested persons to a confession. Attorney Mendoza is also hopeful that the change that this toolkit can generate in a period of 6 months to 2 years will lean towards the goal of no longer seeing or hearing the usual stigmatizing words used for people who use drugs.
Siguro sa short term, yung change, hopefully, that ma-generate natin from this conversation, this toolkit, kahit yung stigmatizing words lang. To have that kind of consciousness, that mindfulness, that awareness, even with editors, syempre, it's iba yung dynamics ng newsroom, I know. We're also educated on that by our friends from the media. Yun lang, magkaroon lang ng, I guess, debate, challenge, a sort of awareness on the terms that we use in the stories.
The toolkit can also be accessed through http:/tinyurl.com/puttingpersonsfirst. For Golden Nation Network, this is Jasmine Cacho. The Department of Justice, or DOJ, has filed a motion to reopen one of the drug cases of former Senator Laila De Lima and present a new witness against her. In the 6-page motion, the prosecution requested the court to reopen the trial to set a case for the presentation of the rebuttal evidence. The motion states while the presentation of rebuttal evidence is discretionary with the prosecution in criminal action, but in the instant of this case, the overwhelming import of the new facts disclosed by the accused, which have a damaging effect on the complainant's version, is imperative and necessary. On to another news, due to the high heat index which reached 44 degrees Celsius, the Makati City government urged its residents to stay indoors and take necessary precautions to avoid heat-related illnesses such as heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. According to the city's Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, intense heat causes discomfort in the period between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. as these are the critical times. The heat index was labeled as dangerous, and residents are advised to take extra precautions when going out. Meanwhile, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or BSP, issued a warning against credit card scams in the country. BSP advised the public to be cautious when receiving calls or messages asking for credit card details or personal information and to not disclose any confidential information. The BSP emphasized that they do not ask for personal information over the phone or through messaging services. Meanwhile, according to the results of a Social Weather Stations, or SWS, survey released on Monday, about half of Filipino families received assistance in the last quarter of last year. The December 10 to 14, 2022 poll found that 53% of families received help in the past 3 months, while 47% did not. The most common forms of assistance included money with 32%, followed by food with 25%, money that was lent with 6%, non-food items with 2%, support for schooling or training with 2%, any kind of service with 2%, and jobs with 2%. Among families that received help in the past 3 months, 60% got it from the government and 37% from their relatives. And here's a recap of this week's headlines. Here are today's headlines. The ICT announces no extension for SIM registration deadline. DOH disregards re-implementation of face mask mandate despite increase in COVID-19 cases. COMELEC to print additional 1.6 million ballots for BSKE 2023. Civil Aeronautics Board announces lowered airfares due to decreasing fuel surcharge. BSP reminds public to be wary of credit card scam. SWS survey shows half of Filipino families received assistance in the last quarter of 2022. Fair and balanced news. Comprehensive reports that will take you to the heart of the action. This is News Force Weekend. And those were the top stories of the week. Stay updated on the biggest stories. Get updates on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Golden Nation Network. I am Jasmine Cacho, and this is News Force Weekend.